Hi guys, so today's lesson is just a basic review of operations involving fractions. And so I want to make sure that everyone, I'm going through each step, even though I know for some of you this may seem remedial. Fractions are really an important tool for us and we have to be good at them. So let's just remember that when we're adding fractions, in order to add fractions, the denominators both need to be the same. Okay, so this part is called the numerator, this part at the bottom is called the denominator. As long as the denominators are the same, we add the numerators and we keep the denominator. And I'm pretty sure that everyone feels pretty comfortable with that. Okay, what we can also be handed with is something when the denominators are not the same. So you want to make them, you want to find their lowest common denominator that they have. So the lowest number that they both have in common. So in looking at this, the lowest number that they both have in common is 24. So to make 8 24, I'd have to multiply this side by 3 over 3. And so I get 9 over 24. It is the exact same fraction, just not as reduced. And then on the other side, to make this 24, I'd multiply by 4 over 4. Okay? So then this would become 4 over 24. Now that the denominators are the same, we add the numerators, we keep the denominators. So 9 plus 4 gives me 13 over 24. All right? All right, can get a little harder when I throw in mixed numbers. We can either have, oops, sorry about that. Not now. Why is this doing it for me? Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Okay, 6 3/4 plus 9 5/8. There's several options. Some people like to turn these into improper fractions and then find a common denominator, but that can actually you can get really big numbers with that. So as long as it's addition, you can actually add 6 and 9 and you get 15. Okay, and then add 3/4 plus 5/8. Well, 3/4, we need a denominator of an 8, so then they'd have a common denominator, so I multiply this by 2 over 2. And I get 6 over 8 plus 5 over 8, which is 11 over 8, okay? But this is a mixed number. We need to turn this into, a number so that we can add it to 15. Because we have 11 over 8 and the numerator is bigger, divide it by 8, so 8 goes into 11 one time, and you're left with 3/8, so 1 3/8. So 15 plus 1 3/8 would give me 16 3/8, okay? All right, 3 1/2 plus 4 2/3 plus 7 1/4. Let's try this concept. So we do 3 plus 4 plus 7, so 7 plus 7 gives me 14. Then I'm going to add to it, I have 1/2 plus 2/3 plus 1/4. Okay? So with the fractions, I need to find a common denominator. The common denominator would be 12. So I'd be multiplying this one by 6 over 6. I'd be multiplying 2/3 by 4 over 4. And I'd multiply 1/4 by 3 over 3. And I'm going to get 6 over 12 plus 8 over 12 plus 3 over 12. All right, then I add the numerators, keep the denominator, so 14 plus 3 gives me 17 over 12. All right, it's an improper fraction, so I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. 17 divided by 12, it goes in one time, and I'm left with 5. So 1 5/12. So I have 14 plus 1 5/12, which would give me 15 5/12. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of squishing it in here. But again, this should all be just review for you. All right, let's look at the next one. Gets harder when I throw in subtraction. 7/10 all over 3/5. Okay, so again, if we're going to add or subtract, we need a common denominator. So the common denominator here would be 10. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2 over 2. So I get 7/10 minus 6/10, which would give me 1/10. Not so bad, right? Back to the basics. Where subtraction gets trickier, is when I give you mixed numbers. 5 1/8 minus 2 7/12. Okay, this one is star. You cannot use the same method that you used when you were adding mixed numbers. Well, you can, but usually kids make mistakes on it. So my suggestion to you is that if you're faced with subtraction and they're mixed numbers, turn them into improper fractions. So we do that. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 1, so 41 over 8. Minus 12 times 2 is 24, plus 7 is 31. Okay? All right. So now we have to find a common denominator. The common denominator here would be, let's see, 24, okay? Because that's the lowest number they both go into. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3 over 3 and this side by 2 over 2. All right, so 41 times 3 is 123 over 24 minus 31 times 2 is 62 over 24. All right, so now I do 123, denominators are the same, so 123 minus 62, I believe is 61, so 61 over 24, okay? All right, so then you turn it back into an improper fraction, or a mixed number. So 24 goes into 61 2 times, that's 48, right? And then you're left with 13, I believe, 13 over 24. Okay, so 2 and 13 over 24. So again, when doing subtraction with mixed numbers, the easiest way to do it is to turn it into an improper fraction, find your common denominator, and then subtract. Okay? All right, so now let's move on to multiplication and division. This is a really big thing for me, multiplication and division, because I often think, so actually, I stop a second. On the back page, you have number 7 and number 8. I want you guys to go ahead and try number 7 and number 8 on your own. We'll go over it in class tomorrow, okay? All right, so now I'm on the next page where it says multiplying and dividing fractions. My big thing is that you should always simplify first. It makes it easy, makes it easier. So I always tell kids, simplify, then multiply. Simplify, then multiply. Simplify, then multiply. So I look here, and I see that there's a 2 here and a 4 here, and I am allowed to simplify that to 1 and that to 2. Then I multiply across. You do not need common denominators with multiplication and division. So 3 times 1 gives me 3, 2 times 4 gives me 8. If you simplify first, then your final answer will always be in its simplest form, okay? All right, we can get a little trickier when I give you a fraction times a whole number. Easy if you put it over 1. So first, write the whole number over 1, and then we simplify, then multiply. Simplify, then multiply. So I look to see if there's any way I can cancel. And 8 and 18 do have some common factors. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. Now I've simplified, so now I can multiply across. So 5 times 9 gives me 45, and 4 times 1 gives me 4. Simplify, then multiply. Simplify, then multiply. All right, mixed numbers make it harder. So you have to, when you're multiplying, turn mixed numbers into improper fractions. So we would turn 4 1/5 into 21 over 5. As a reminder, 5 times 4 plus 1. And we would turn 3 5/7 into 21 plus 5, so 26 over 5. Okay? I look to see if there's anything that I can cancel. Ooh, 25 over 7, sorry. 26 over 7. Thank you. All right, so then I see if there's anything I can simplify, and there is. 7 goes into itself once, it goes into 21 3. Much better than multiplying 21 times 26, okay? So 3 times 26 a little bit easier, even if you have to do it on the side of your paper. 3 times 2 is 1 plus, so 78. And then 78 over 5. But I would much rather multiply 26 times 3 versus 26 times 21 if I don't have a calculator, right? All right, let's look at the next one. Again, turn it into an improper fraction. So 23 tenths times 10 thirds. Simplify, then multiply. Simplify, then multiply. Well, I made this easy, didn't I? Because it simplifies. The tens go into themselves one time. So 23 times 1 is 23. 1 times 3 is 3. So I'm looking for that simplify, then multiply. Go ahead and let's put a star, because we got it right. all right? I want you to try number 5, okay? So try number 5, and then, so pause, try number 5, and let's see if we get your answer right. 5 over 11 times 11 over 12, simplify then multiply, simplify then multiply, so these 11s cancel to 1, and you get 5 twelfths, okay? Simplify then multiply. All right, now we gotta talk division. Oops, sorry, division. Division, 3 halves divided by 9 sevenths. Okay, so we can't really divide fractions because we have to do some things to them, okay? If you have to divide fractions, you keep the first number, you change the sign to multiplication, and then you flip the number on the right. So this would become 3 halves times 7 ninths. And I always say, let's KCF it, Kentucky chicken fry it. Let's keep, let's change, let's flip. Keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. All right, then we simplify if we can, recognizing that 3 and 9 have some common factors. 3 goes into itself once, 3 goes into 9 3 times. Now we've simplified so we can multiply. So 1 times 7 is 7, and 2 times 3 is 6, okay? Just want to check the time. How are we doing? All right, good. So far so good. All right, so in class I asked you guys to change this problem. If I didn't, please go ahead. Number 7, I want you to change it to 16 over 7 divided by 8, okay? 16 over 7 divided by 8, okay? All right, why do I like this problem? Because I wanted it to be division because I wanted to look at it. This is a whole number. What did I say with fractions we should always do? Always write it over 1 so that it makes it less complicated. But because it's division, then we have to Kentucky chicken fry it. We have to keep, change, flip it. So we have 16 over 7 we keep, we change to multiplication, and we flip the one on the right. So 16 over 7 times 1/8, we simplify first, then we multiply. So 8 goes into itself once, 8 goes into 16 twice. 2 times 1 then is 2, 7 times 1 is 7. Just makes it a little bit easier, okay? And then the last one, 3 divided by 2 and 1/8, okay? I want everybody to know that this means the same as this, because that bar means division, okay? So we have to realize that if we're going to keep, change, flip it, they would be keep, change to multiplication, and flip the bottom. And that can happen a lot. But you can't deal with this if it's a mixed number. It has to be improper. So first, we rewrite it as an improper fraction. 8 times 2 plus 1 is 17 over 8. I see this whole number. I'm going to make it easy for myself, and I'm going to write it over 1. So 3 over 1. I keep, I change, I flip. Okay? I simplify if I can. In this case, I cannot. So I then multiply. So 24 over 17. I do want to look at it this way as well. This would still need to be turned into an improper fraction. But that just looks funny. You have to be able to recognize that it's a fraction being a fraction going into a whole number, a fraction into a fraction. So you'd have to keep, you'd have to change, you'd have to flip. Okay, and that would be where you write it over 1. Okay? I want you to recognize these mean the same thing. All right, good job. Smiley face in 2 places for me today. And go ahead and put these in your notebook and bring them to class tomorrow. And we'll go over fractions a little bit and we'll finish up the notes from class, okay? Have a great night.